welcome! My name is Victoria Bedford. I am a spiritual alchemist, bringing to you the knowledge to help empower you to recognise the change that you can make within your own life. So today I'm going to be bringing you a video talking about how when you start to show up to your own life, when you start to make changes, when you start to recognise that the life you're living now is not one that's making you happy, how other people can possibly pull you back into traps and lead you to feel shame for the growth that you are creating. So do watch to the end, because I will be bringing to you hints and tips and ways in which you can find strength to be able to overcome these behaviours of other people that lead you to stay stuck. So welcome to this video. When you're healing and when you're growing, you are choosing to become aware of your life. You are choosing to see your life in more than a one-dimensional way. You're wanting to recognise that how you're living now may have served you at one point, but it isn't serving you no more. And this happens mainly to people that have been through maybe trauma, been through relationship breakups, losses of job. You can carry on living a life for so long, living certain ways, and then suddenly everything feels like it doesn't fit no more. You suddenly feel as if the rug has been pulled beneath your feet, that you feel lost. The people around you haven't changed. Yes, there has been changes in your life, but you feel more lost than you've ever felt, and you don't understand why. So then you start to recognise you want to make some changes in your life and start to search for the deeper meaning of your own life. But when you do this doesn't make the people around you comfortable. And when I was on my journey of growing, one of the hardest things was recognising the uncomfortableness of people around me with my change, but not just that, the ways in which they tried to pull me back into old behaviours. When we are wanting to change our life, we are starting to become aware of how we're not happy. Maybe our behaviours are not leading us to deal with things in a way that's empowering. Maybe we're not happy with the choices that we're making. Maybe we feel drained around the people that we're hanging around with. When you start to recognise that you want change in your life, you then start to assess the situations and people around you. And you will start to recognise how maybe you was a people pleaser. How you may have put other people's needs before your own, how you didn't say how you felt, how you got involved in conversations and behaviours of other people that left you feeling uncomfortable, ending up in drama with other people, or ending up listening continuously to the problems of others without no regard for your own. When you start to recognise and become self-aware and understand that actually, I want to start putting myself first, people are not going to respond well to that. People who are at a lower vibration, because remember, when you're healing, you are reaching a higher vibration. When you start to go through the third dimension of vibration, the waking up, the becoming aware, you start to see things in a different way. You start to see other people's behaviours in a way that shows some truth to you. You may have, once upon a time, tolerated people treating you like rubbish because that's just how they were and they went through pain. But when you start to become awake, you start to recognise, well, actually, I've had to realise my own pain and I've had to make changes. So therefore, do I have to accept the behaviour of another? I can't change them. I can empower them. But first of all, you have to empower yourself. So one of the greatest things that you will start to hear when you're starting to grow is you're selfish. You're selfish or you're judgmental. You'll suddenly become so judgmental. And there is a difference between selfishness and putting your needs first, because you've never done it before. So I'll talk about that first. Selfishness has been labelled by many people as people who don't think of others. People who always put their self first. And there is instances and obviously ways which people do just think about themselves all of the time. But this likely isn't you. You may be being called selfish or being deemed selfish because you're now realising the importance of your needs. You've been taught in childhood and in different relationships that how somebody else feels, what somebody else wants is paramount to you. Because making somebody else happy is more important. You're taught in childhood to give your sweets, to be a good friend. You're taught to give your time, to be a good friend. But in adulthood, this behaviour can be detrimental when it overtakes the needs of yourself. So when you start to grow and recognise I want to be aware of my life and I want to become happier, I can't always answer the phone to my friend, okay? So I'm going to have to choose the times when I feel I've got energy or the times when I'm not so busy. I can't drop everything to do something for my partner or my children. They have to recognise that right now I need time out, or right now I'm busy. This can prompt people to say, oh, you're so lazy. You've become so lazy and so self-centred. People at a lower vibration who haven't yet woken up, and we don't have to, they're not bad people because they're at a lower vibration. They're just unaware. But they also have a choice at some point whether they want to become aware or not. But people at that vibration aren't yet at your awareness. They can't see things from your perspective because they are only at their level of perspective. But what happens is we feel so bad for suddenly feeling like we're selfish because selfishness has been deemed a dirty word. Selfishness is not a dirty word, okay? Selfishness is needed, but it's been deemed dirty. So when somebody says it, we think it's a personal attack on us. It isn't. It's because they are at a lower awareness, meaning their awareness, they're still caught in the place you was caught in, where you believed you had to meet the needs of other people. When you become aware and you start to heal, you can recognise that when you're being called selfish, actually, that's because they're not aware as me. And while I appreciate what they're saying, I can't change who I am because now I'm wanting to become aware and I'm wanting to recognise that I am important. The same is for judgmentalness. When we start to say, that friendship is no longer for me, that person is talking schmack all of the time, that person is just always talking about the people, always moaning, never wants to see the bright side of life. I feel so drained around them. Okay, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to talk and communicate how I feel. And then they may want to argue with us or we don't know what to do. So we have to make a judgment. The judgment has to be from a place of awareness of, this is not serving me no more. It's not that they're there just to serve you, but this friendship feels one-sided, or it feels so negative that I feel so drained. And while I love that person and I don't never not want to see them again, I need to make a judgment on how much do I give myself of them. I need to make a judgment of, not that I'm better than them, but the judgment has to be, what action do I need to make to leave myself feeling more empowered? Judgmental people are people that are a lower vibration. You're so judgmental for doing that because they can't see that there is discernment around judgment, that healthy people can have judgments without being judgmental. Judgmental comes from a place of pain. Judgmental people are people that are unhealed and don't realise that they have pain that they're putting on other people. And I'll give you an example. Parents who always judge other parents. Their unhealed pain is they may not feel good enough. They may not feel that they're showing up to their parent, or they may feel they're failing in some way without realising, all in their unconscious. So they come to this judgment that, or they have a way that they believe life should be. They believe a parent should be a certain way. They have a strong belief system, which that's quite lower vibrational, because when we raise our vibration, we can have compassion for other people and how they parent. We can have compassion for people's struggles. But people who are judgmental don't have compassion. They're very rigid. They're very belief system. This is how you should parent. You should send your children at 7 o'clock with a book, bath and bed. No child should stay past that time because that's good parenting. Well, when we grow, we realise that, okay, routine is good for our children, but my judgment is tonight is a Saturday night. I want to enjoy this evening with my child, and actually I want to let them stay up and watch TV tonight. I want to let them eat chocolate and crisps. But somebody else who's caught in a lower vibration will have a belief system that that is wrong. So they will make judgmental comments. People around you may call you judgmental for creating judgments in your life based on the needs that you have. I want to leave my job because my job is no longer fulfilling me. Some people will say, that you think you're better than that job. Or you think that you're now better than that job. You think that you suddenly have the skills. Now you're healing and growing and you suddenly think that you're a know-it-all. No, when you start to know your self-worth, when you start to understand your empowerment, you start to make judgments based on the discernment that you have. Like, I know that actually I could have a job that would make me happier. When you're healing, you're at a vibration that is raising higher because you are changing that lower vibrational frequency of I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, life isn't very good, hurt and pain has affected me, trauma has affected me. When you start to heal, you start to recognize, yes, all of that has affected you, but you start to raise up and recognize, I want to no longer let it define me. I want to understand my pain. The truth is, you have to, when you become, when you want to step into that third dimension, the third dimension is the awakening vibration. It's the vibration of seeing things differently, experiencing life differently, recognizing you have the power of choices, and it's painful. And there will be times you'll slip into lower vibration because you'll feel judged by others, and others will leave you feeling not good enough. But actually, it's not them that's leading you to feel not good enough. It's triggering that possible unworthiness that you have inside. But one of the things that I say to you when you're starting to step into a higher vibration, a vibration of a waking up, recognize that people who are in, and I've had to learn this myself. If anyone knows me, I am on the Spiritual Hub on Facebook. I have a page and I do lots of different reels. And I had to learn this very lesson myself. And I've been, spiritually on a journey for a very, very long time, but these lessons come time and time again until you really understand them. I put reels up of my autistic daughter, and because I have built such awareness within my spiritual work and the ways of judgments, but when it comes to my daughter, and I didn't feel good enough inside at times, and I didn't feel like I was able to, I didn't always think maybe I was being the best mum that I could be, even though I was trying. So when people were judging me, I was taking those judgments on as if they were facts, because I didn't feel good enough, because I didn't feel like I was, succeeding. Even though motherhood is not about succeeding, it's about trying your best and growing. When I reflected and I stepped into the healing power of the divine, I was able to allow that spiritual lesson to come in again. Those people that are judging you, Vicky, are at a lower vibration of awareness. When you share these things about your life, you're sharing them from your heart. You're sharing them because you want to empower people. You're sharing them not for victimization. Because when you start to go into the third wave of ascension, you start to realize there is victimization and there is victimhood, and there's two different things. And you no longer want to be victimized. A victim is somebody that doesn't have a choice in the things that happen. And that is, that can happen. That happens a lot in childhood. It happens in adulthood, but it happens more so in adulthood when you don't realise your power and you don't step up to your healing, and you end up victimising yourself, putting yourself time and time again in situations that are very unhealthy. And I'll share with you again another reason and another way to this. I was sexually abused as a child, and I met different people in my adulthood who sexually abused me. Because I didn't know my healing power, because I hadn't found the strength to say no to people, because I hadn't found the ability to understand what felt uncomfortable, because I was still very vulnerable and I was caught in how vulnerable I was, I ended up in situations that victimised me. I went out for a drink with a man I felt very uncomfortable with. I didn't dare tell him I wanted to leave. He ended up spiking my drink and I ended up being taken back to his house. Now, if I was at that point of healing and understanding, I would have recognised that there was red flags going on. I would have recognised that I wasn't feeling comfortable and I should make my excuses and leave. But I was leading myself to constantly be victimised because of my vulnerabilities, because I wasn't enabling myself to grow at that point. I just felt the world was just hating me. I felt that everything was against me. And when you feel like that and you don't heal and you don't learn your own power, you can end up continually to victimize yourself. Other times, you know, and yes, I was a victim. Absolutely, I was a victim. I didn't ask that person to do that to me. So I was a victim. But you can also victimize yourself by putting yourself in situations. And this is not about don't dress a certain way so you don't get things happen to you. That's not about that. It's about understanding the situations that you put yourself in, or allow yourself, not put yourself, allow yourself to be in, because you haven't healed and you haven't recognized your own personal power and you haven't healed from the things that you have been through. Other ways of victimising ourselves are every time someone has a go at us, we're the victim. Oh, why do they always have a go at me? Why has everyone got a problem with me? It's everyone else, it's everyone else. People who haven't healed will look externally to blame everyone else. Now, everyone else is a problem, everyone else is the reason, and this may have been you. This was me at one point. And this is the lower vibration. And this is what happens. Sometimes, you know, not sometimes, but when you grow, and you heal, you will have to choose how much energy you give to the people that are of lower vibration. And they will say to you, you've turned on me, no one else is there for me, you're this, you're that. But what they're doing is they're caught in the victimisation, and only they can recognise how they want to heal and take themselves out of that. And again, I will say to you, there is a difference between being a victim. I'm not saying that victims do not exist and that people aren't victims of sexual abuse and victims of things. But please do research. There is a difference, because there is something called victimization, which we do when we're in unhealed places. So when we start to raise above this and we start to, you know, recognize that we have to take responsibility for ourselves. So when that was going on, I could have felt a victim. Once upon a time, when those were going on, those reels, I could have felt, why me? Why are they being mean to me? All I'm doing is trying my best. And initially I might have felt like that briefly, because that's emotions and that's normal. But then I get to choose to use the vibration that I have raised up to recognise people can only see you from a level of perspective that they have grown to. When we grow and others don't grow with us, they're not bad people, but they also don't have our awareness. They don't have the views that we have. So they're still sleeping. And you can't tell a sleeping person with their eyes closed that they should see something differently, because really they're not seeing anything. They've just got their own rigid thoughts and beliefs that everything is just how it is. This is how it is. You are this, you are this. So we have to, as we grow and step into this third wave of ascension, realise that the energy of healing means other people are going to have thoughts, feelings, and ways that they believe we are, that are not fact. It's from their belief system. So now let's get to the bit of how do we cope with it? How do we deal with that, okay? When that happens to us, how do we deal with that? So, you don't have to tell somebody who's asleep that they're asleep. They're going to tell you to do one. Or they're going to tell you that we can't force other people to walk the journey with us. We can't force we're not here to force our views and beliefs on anyone, but we can't wake anyone up. That's their journey, that's their time. We're not here to wake anybody up, okay? Shining our light may wake people up around us, and they may choose to join the song like the Pied Piper, but we can't stand and shake them. That's not fair, that's not their journey. And that's painful, because you may lose some people. But that's in another video. We'll talk about that in another video. I can't cover everything in this video. How do we deal with it? When we're getting lots of judgments against us, or people telling us that they don't like the fact we're growing, take yourself away. If you're going to feel triggered to say something or feel angry and justify yourself, not my circus, not my monkeys. We don't need to justify our healing. We might feel like we want to, and there'll be periods of time you do justify it, okay? And that's okay. Don't judge yourself. Have compassion and love, but recognise you don't need to justify yourself or explain yourself. Go, okay, I accept that's your thought and feelings, but I do need to do what's best for me. Or I know that you don't like the fact that I'm growing right now, but this is the journey that I'm on, and I'm still loving you, but I do need to make choices that are a bit more in my best interest. Spend less time with the people that pull you down and say these things. Put boundaries in. Boundaries, which again I'll put in another video, but boundaries are not walls. They're boundaries. They're little neat boundaries. They don't have to be walls. You know, if you build walls, you're going to push everyone away. We don't want to do that on our healing journey. We just want to build little nice boundaries. I love you, but you can stay there. So if somebody's overstepping that boundary and telling you how wrong you are, or that you should be healing, or you're self-righteous, just remind them, look, you know, we don't have to agree on the, you know, on these kind of things. This is my journey, and I just want you to respect me and just respect, you know, I won't push anything on you, and this will help you learn communication. There will be some people you can't have that communication with, so you just don't talk about it, but you just change the subject when they bring things in, and you don't engage in uncomfortable things. Other boundaries you can have is you start to slowly disconnect without removing yourself from friendships and relationships. Don't be as available. You know, sometimes we have friends that are always ringing us when something's wrong, and we're like, I just don't want to not be there for them. But you just start to realise the times that they might be relying on you too much. Remember, people who are going through things, us as well, like to offload. They don't offload because they want to do anything different or change anything. They just want you to sponge all their stuff up so they feel better. And that does happen. You know, people will do that, and you have to make sure that you're not that sponge, and that you don't do that to somebody else. It's good to talk to people and to listen to people, but don't be the sponge where people just go and you're just like, oh my God, I feel so drained. Don't be that sponge, okay? If you're getting into conversations that are the same thing every time, say, look, we seem to hear the same thing. You know, I love you and I want to be there for you, but if you're not making changes, then we can't keep talking about this. You may have a friend that has the same problems in relationship time and time and time again. Doesn't mean you can't be there for them, but you have to go, if they're not willing to make any change, or recognise it. I love you, but you seem to have this problem all of the time. I think that's something you need to work out, or change the subject and how you can help empower them. You can't save them. You can empower them. They don't listen. Stop having those conversations with them. Pull away. When you close or cracks or slide doors to things that aren't right for you, you're able to open doors to other people that come in that are on your energy wavelength. And this doesn't mean when we ascend, we have to go, I don't want anyone of lower energy, because that can't happen. Because everyone around us is on lower energy, unless they're choosing to grow like us or to become self-aware. We have to manage their behaviours and realise their behaviours are not a reflection on you, okay? If lots of people say the same thing, you could reflect on what they're saying and say, if lots of people are saying, look, you're becoming really isolated, you can reflect on that and go, maybe I am. Do I need to be as isolated? Well, yeah, right now I'm going through a shift that I think I want to be comfortable on my own. Okay, well, I'm okay with that. Or actually, maybe I am isolating myself too much because I don't know how to manage in lower energy. Right, I'm going to start taking myself back into lower energy, but I'm going to start keeping it lighter. So just be the fun. You know, if people talk about deep stuff, just change the subject, or say, oh, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. Or, don't engage so heavily in those things. Again, boundaries are small little walls, not great big walls. And we can create boundaries, saying no more. Not answering the phone all the time, not jumping to the needs of other people, recognising when we are upset and when we have something that is bothering us, whether we say it or not. Becoming a little bit more assertive. All these things are going to piss off another person because they are, again, in lower energy. But again, they're not bad people because they're in lower energy. So you just have to recognise that you are seeing things differently. And actually, that is such a beautiful thing. So the next time on your growing journey, on your growth journey, do you feel judged, or do you feel told that you shouldn't be in this journey, or you feel all the anger and crap of other people around you? For one, a part of the ascension of the level 3, and it's not a level because I don't want to distinguish between people, but it's a more of awareness. When we start to ascend to a more of awareness, we see the pain of the world. And unfortunately, we can't do anything about the pain in the world. So what we can do is we can become more focused on creating the peace and love within the world that we have. We can't change, unfortunately, the crap that's going on within the world. We can have empathy, compassion, and we can help those around us. But we do also, it gives us a reason to be able to create that life for ourselves that has meaning. Because lots of people in lots of different places, unfortunately, aren't able to create meaning in their life because there's lots of things going on. So to be able to have the beautiful ability to be able to create awareness in your life is such a gift. Give that gift to yourself. And look, nobody said this journey is easy. It really isn't. But this journey is worthwhile, and it is something that can really change your life.